Should I be VAT registered? This is a question that I had when I was starting my business up, and you might have the same. What are the benefits and what are the downsides? So basically what it means to be VAT registered, value added tax, that's what VAT stands for, is basically that every invoice that you make, every sale that you make, you add 20% of that amount in tax. So if you're charging the customer £100 for your services, an extra 20% on top will go for VAT. Now that sounds a bit negative. Why would I do that? Because I'm going to end up having to charge my customers more, which means that they might choose somebody else who's not VAT registered instead of me. And that's a good point. But there are some major considerations to think about on the positive side of being VAT registered. So every time you buy materials for your business, you pay VAT on those materials. So if I buy my Fluke 1664 FC tester for £1,000, it's £1,000 plus VAT usually. So I actually pay £1,200 for that tester. But if I'm VAT registered, the £200 of that can be claimed back by me against my earnings. So essentially I'm only paying £1,000. Whereas if I was not VAT registered, I would be paying the whole £1,200. I wouldn't be able to claim that VAT back on those materials. And that goes for all the materials that you buy for your business, your cables, your conduits, your everything that you use on a day-to-day basis for your business, you'll be paying VAT on it. And if you're not VAT registered, you can't claim that VAT back. Whereas if you are VAT registered, then you can. So if you do a job and it's for, say, £1,000 plus VAT to the customers, so you charge them £1,200, £200 of that is VAT. But if your materials were £500 plus VAT, then there's £100 of VAT on the materials. So you only end up paying £100 of that VAT to the tax man, and that's paid by the customer anyway. So you've got to consider the benefits of being able to recoup the VAT on all the things that you purchase as a definite pro to being VAT registered. The other pro to being VAT registered is when it comes to customers. Often they will view you as being more professional and well-established company if you are VAT registered. It's a sort of psychological thing. If you're not VAT registered, it looks a little bit like you're sort of the little DIY chap from around down the road, you know, the handyman who just does the cash in hand jobs or whatever. And that might not be the image that you're wanting to project to your customers if you're really aiming for high-end customers. You want to project the image of professionalism at all times. And being VAT registered just makes you look more professional. Now, you have to be VAT registered if your income, your turnover, goes above a certain threshold anyway. That threshold is liable to change at some time, so I won't say exactly what it is now, but usually it's roughly around the £75,000 to £80,000 mark. But as I say, it can change, so check what it is right at the moment. So if you're turning over less than that, in other words, your sales from your business are less than that, you don't need to be VAT registered. But if they are above that, then you have to be VAT registered anyway. The other benefit of being VAT registered is when it comes to working for commercial clients. Often a commercial client will want to employ a contractor who is VAT registered, because then they can claim the VAT back from your invoice. So it gets passed down the line, you see. Whereas if you're not VAT registered, they can't claim back any VAT from that, and that's a negative for their business. So if you want to work in the commercial or industrial sectors, basically business to business, working for other businesses, then being VAT registered is quite an important thing really to take on board as part of your business. So I chose to be VAT registered even right from the start before I was earning above the threshold. Obviously now I'm way over the threshold anyway, so I would have to be VAT registered. It does cost you a bit more in terms of time and paperwork because you've got to do your quarterly VAT returns, or you might choose to be on a different VAT scheme, and again your accountant can help you to factor in all those things and choose which VAT scheme is best for you to be on. And there is a new thing that's coming in very soon, which is for the construction industry. They're talking about paying VAT in advance, so it's going to be interesting to see how that develops. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, so if you want to know all about the specifics of that and how it affects your business, then speak to your accountant and they'll be able to help you.